how do you reconcile the intimate immediacy of experiential awareness with the vast, unfathomable expanse of cosmic mystery, particularly as you navigate between structured ritual and spontaneous insight?
Well, I think cosmic mystery is simply another term for awareness. And it's a mystery because it's not fathomable in a conceptual sense. But our experience of the cosmic mystery is our experience of knowing, being, and awareness. And how do I navigate between structured ritual and spontaneous insight? Well, as effectively as I can. They are both helpful, but in many ways they're complementary, even though they are different. So I'd like to say I use them both, but I don't feel like I navigate between them.
I think they play off each other.
Good description.
I think the unfathomable expense stretches your awareness capability. It always, the unfathomable expense is really why there's always something new, something more, let's say, something more to be aware of.
I actually think that as human beings, we're designed to be able to receive messages or downloads or whatever you want to call it, or inspiration. What blocks us is our very human existence, in a state of panic and fear.
Right.
It's very hard to hear.
Our preoccupation with the voices.
Preoccupation, there you go. Yeah, and it's the rituals that actually help you calm down, and get, at least for me, I can only speak for myself.
Right.
But it does calm me, and gets me to that state of preparedness, where I can clearly receive. Because the mind thoughts are very, very loud, intrusive thoughts, negative thoughts, it's very, very loud. And the heart is like a whisper. So when your mind is loud, you can't hear the inspiration that's coming at you.
Yeah, the thoughts seem to almost inevitably be there, but their content is not worth your attention. When your goal is to meditate or contemplate, and even in regular life, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really deserve the priority we give it.
Much of it.
Most of it, in fact.
Okay, most of it.
It's good to notice that you're about to step out in front of a bus. That's good. But you don't have to think much about responding to that. But I mean, the vastness is always there. Even though vastness sounds like it would pull me out because it's an expanse, yet I think it pulls me away from my petty little things my awareness is giving its attention to. Confronting the vastness is like saying neti neti, because there's always something more, there's always something beyond, there's always so
right.
I don't know, I should have brought this up under chit chat, but it's vaguely pertinent to what we're talking about. I went to a dentist today and had some dental work done, and it's been years since I've had anything other than a cleaning and an inspection. But we've moved, and we found a new dentist, and somebody said, well, you need all these things. They took x-rays, and so today I had 2 of my old crowns removed, and there was a cavity under one of them.
Oh.
And he said, well, you don't need a root canal, but we need to make you some new crowns. And so he gave me this anesthetic, which was, I didn't feel it the way I used to. It would just be sort of numb in the lips and everything, but this was very subtle. And I said, I don't think it's working. I think you have to give me another shot. And he said, I think we got it. So it didn't have any real pain, but he spends quite a bit of time with this machine grinding away.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in my, somebody left, but I don't know who. Anyway, in my, Dana, she's back. In my Tai Chi classes, the instructor often says, now relax your shoulder muscles. And there are some movements we do which you have to use, but an awful lot of them you don't. And the ideal form, you're just using the arms and keeping your shoulder muscles relaxed. And I realized, myself, and I think most people, the shoulder muscles kind of accumulate tension and they tighten up just because anxiety or you keep them contracted, and lots of situations where it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do any good. It's a waste of energy. So I've been thinking about just relaxing, and I've experimented today. If you can relax your shoulder muscles, while some dentist is in your mouth grinding away. And I managed to do that a little bit, and I finally the thought occurred to me, just pretend like I'm a dead body and I'm not capable of moving. And I did that for a while, and I was like I was above observing. I mean, I was still consciously aware of what's going on, but my body was just totally passive. And I think that if you can do it, I think that's a pretty good way to endure dental procedures, that involves grinding or whatever they do.
Right.
So how does that relate to the question? If you can think of yourself as a dead body, but you're still aware of your awareness, that's a form of detachment that can be useful.
Yeah, if you can be aware of your experience of the dentist working in your mouth while your body is completely passive, then that's something important.
Yes.
I was gonna say how it was important, but it vanished.
Well, it hints at today's question, about separating awareness from that which is happening.
Yeah, from the experience.
Right. The experience can be observed rather than
Suffered.
yeah, or having it basically define who you are at the moment. It's happening. It's a phenomenon, and it can be observed like anything else. And if there's anything else to be observed at the time, it can fall into the background a little bit. Attention is everything. I just really haven't given the workout it needs, the daily workout or I don't know what. It's the awareness muscle could be a lot stronger. Or the focus muscle, maybe. I don't know.
I think if we pay attention to the things outside of us, I mean, if our awareness is on everything that's happening outside of us in the 3D realm or in this alam shahada, this realm of witnessing, I think all the spiritual teachings that I have engaged with and studied teach us to go within and be aware from that space first. So it's not a matter of just being aware of what's going on. Oh, the sun's coming up, things are brighter, and and it's not just observing phenomena with your mind. You have to engage a much deeper faculty, your soul. And if you live from that space, I think you can be aware of much more.
Yeah,
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Going back to my example, I thought I had a dental assistant that I was talking to quite a bit when the dentist would come and go. But I described that to him. I said, I'm pretending to be a dead body and just observing from above. And I realized, well, I'm not really observing from above. I'm observing from within, as you say.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like I'm up there somewhere. I'm right here, same place. But
It's that trick of being aware, which includes that of which you are aware.
Can you elaborate a little on that?
Well, the primary experience is the awareness. Everything else is just, passing through.
Right.
And
it's awareness that observes that which is passing through.
right, and what's the most important thing that's happening is the awareness. And none of that stuff passes through without the awareness. It's subservient in a certain, or it's derivative. But you can passively watch all kinds of things go on, even, pain in the body. But
what Daryl was talking about, yes?
what?
Isn't that what Daryl was talking about?
Yeah, well, I don't know if he was putting the pain in the background that way, if there was any pain.
nothing to speak of. It's just, to have that grinding sound and feeling.
Yeah. Who likes
Discomfort. It was more of discomfort rather
Yeah.
than pain.
Discomfort. I mean, the painkiller was fine. I mean,
And there's a certain fear of being injured when you're that vulnerable and that kind of thing is going on.
yeah, any second he may hit that nerve and you go,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Oh my God.
anticipating,
Yeah.
it's a kind of anticipating the worst.
yeah, fortunately it didn't happen, but you worry about it. I do.
Yeah, but thing is, if it happens, nothing you did before it happened could have prevented it from happening.
But I think you did just that, Daryl. If you had the experience of seeing your body on the dental chair, that is you detach and you surrender, which is one of the components on a spiritual path, on any spiritual path.
Yeah, what's happening is happening.
Leaning into it.
Yeah, the phenomenon of having a body is not just the form that appears if you look on it from the outside. It's that whole swirl of stuff that happens on the inside, which is still just all awareness. But you can look at yourself from within and from without with the help of a mirror or a camera. But the fundamental thing is the experience. That is what's real. And it depends on the awareness. The content of the experience is a whole lot less important. The quality of the awareness is important.
Well, yes, it's the awareness that's important.
Right.
Does awareness have qualities?
Well, I think, it has some meaning to say we're more or less aware, or more or less
All right. It has
or
some
more or
meaning.
less distracted.
It has some meaning to say that, yes. Awareness qualities. Dave, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, damn mute button, tricky. I used to think about this a lot because I was trained as an anesthesiologist.
Oh.
Relatively recently, I started reading John Klein's book, Transmission of the Flame. And he reports Atmananda talking about this. And he said, when the mind thins out enough, you can see that perception of pain in itself isn't distressing, but we categorize it as painful and overlay that on top of the sensation of pain.
Right.
And that makes it very painful.
Yeah, it's the name of it that hurts in a certain way. Not really, but in a certain way.
So I had never thought that possible, but he claims that, at least from his experience, that if there's no doer or recipient present, in a personalized form. The pain is just another intense sensation in the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when the fear is gone from it, it can be more clearly experienced, more purely experienced.
Well, luckily I don't have that kind of pain, but my aches and pains, if I'm able to watch them without trying to intervene with mental corrections of elimination, they last 10 or 15 minutes, and then they just disappear.
Have you ever tried to experience an itch without responding to it?
Yes. In fact, I was just doing that last night. It's the impulse to scratch is very strong, but invariably it hitches a ride on I am itchy. And if I don't say that I am itchy, it's a little easier to ignore. Then eventually it goes away too.
Yeah, it's amazing. The most intense itch can sometimes surprisingly disappear in a short amount of time.
But is there anything wrong with scratching when it itches?
No,
No,
there's nothing wrong with it.
No, it feels good after all.
Seems to.
Well, but then it goes away.
Yeah, but the thing is, generally it'll go away anyway. And in the meantime, you've had a chance to see yourself, the impulse to scratch coming and going and growing and shrinking, which you wouldn't normally get to see.
Yes. And then when it goes away, that gives you a chance to observe it, to observe without it being present.
Right. Well, yes. And also to experience it going away rather than being uh, overridden or drowned out by the tactile scraping on your skin.
Yes.
But the itch is funny because, it doesn't feel like it itches while it's being scratched, but I think the itch is just being drowned out. But the pleasure that goes with it, I don't understand that, but I like it.
The pleasure that goes with scratching.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's an interesting question.
Yeah, it isn't just a relief. It's an actual pleasant
Pleasure. Yeah.
There are occasions when it seems to not work or the scratching doesn't work, and sometimes it makes it a little worse, maybe. But that's then you go see a doctor, I guess.
Well, yeah, especially if you can additionally irritate the spot that itches.
Or scratching until it starts to bleed.
Yeah, that's not that's an endless road that ends up with a large wound on you.
So we're waiting on Luna and George to weigh in.
George?
You have anything to add before we wrap it? I guess not.
George? I guess not. As for me, I don't think I have anything to add. I think you all covered it well, so if there's nothing else, I'll move on to the next question.
I'm itching to get to that second question.
All right. What role does sacred silence play in your practice of dismantling conceptual thought, and how do you balance the luminous clarity of insight against the inherent obscurity of the void?
Oh my goodness.
Sacred silence.
Luminous clarity. I have to get some insight before I have any luminous clarity there. There's a sense in which the clarity emerges out of the void.
Yes, the void isn't necessarily obscure. The void is a glorious celebration, shining.
The void has a kind of inherent purity, because it's unmixed. It's just empty.
Well, wouldn't you say the void, by definition, is nothing visible? I mean, if it's the void, there's no perceptible anything, right, to observe.
Well, yeah, you don't ever, I don't think, through sensations experience the void, but yet the void is real.
Yes.
Well, the void has no phenomenal thing in it,
That's
but
right.
it's not.
That's right.
It's not empty.
That's what
Mm.
it's what? Not
It's,
empty.
it's not empty. The Hindus call it kudastha, like an immovable mountain, an unchanging immovable mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So you always know who you are. You always know that you're alive. That's not an object, but we're so conditioned to invite phenomena into our minds because that's the only thing the mind
That's right.
can perceive.
Mm-hmm.
That we can tend to overlook that the void is just void of phenomena.
Right. Or at least perceptible.
So the void is a reality, but it's just not perceivable with the senses. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's
Something like
almost
that.
and almost by definition, it's not really manifestable. But it's a principle that's always there.
Yes.
I
But
actually think that everything that I look at that nothingness, that void, as the source.
Well, it is.
You know, yeah, that's and everything, springs forth from there.
Yeah, the emptiness is the divine permission for something to emerge.
That's where all possibilities exist, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's elegantly stated, Larry.
Yeah, there's a sense in which you can see the void as a kind of love because it's there to accept anything. It has nothing to contradict anything or to oppose anything.
Yes.
It's a powerful concept, and it's more than a concept, or less than a concept.
But you see what the question's getting at. I mean, there's a kind of clarity to conceptualization that's false.
Yeah.
Compared to what we're calling the inherent obscurity, which is actually not obscure.
So I think, human beings refer to the void or the source, as Dina said, we give it a name, we call it God or Allah or something.
Right.
But I remember in Genesis, they describe Adam was the one who gave names to everything. I think it's human beings.
Mm-hmm.
We need, or we use names, and trying to apply a name to the void is convenient. That was for the conversation, but not.
That was the fall.
Yeah.
That was the fall when we started naming things.
Mm-hmm.
Things.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How do you name something that's not a thing?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and not only that, and it's something we would acknowledge as a thing. As soon as we name it, we have in our own mind sort of replaced it with the name. It's like we came along and said, "Oh, I can create that too."
Yeah, the name is sacred. The name is holy because what it represents or what
right. But if we attribute the name, it's like in Huck Finn or Tom Sawyer or whatever it was, where they're going down the river and Huck says, everybody, he's told that in France that cow is called a vache. He says, that's silly. Everybody knows it's a cow. And but it's not even a cow. It's just it. And
but the first part of the question was about silence and how how we incorporate that in our practice, and that's there is no other way to connect or perceive unless we shut down, at least temporarily, our empirical senses, because that cannot perceive that vast nothingness, that vast nothingness, which I like to call all that is.
Yeah. Emptiness is fullness.
Yeah. And you have to be in silence. You have to sit and be silent. Be still and know that I am your Lord. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
And
thank you, Dina.
Yeah, be still is a little like just don't add anything.
It's also about turning down the volume of that chatter that's in the mind. Yeah.
By giving it less attention.
Yeah, giving it less attention. But sitting, it's not actually sitting in silence, because although silent meditation helps as well, but lately I've been experimenting with sounds, and that has led me back to the invocation. So, and not just invoking the divine name, but also the other names that I usually, the catalyst for that would be, or the lead into that would be whatever it is that I'm going through. Like, what is this name that I'm experiencing? Teach me the names,
Now, are these the Islamic names?
Yes, the Islamic names. But I've also been snooping around.
Good for you,
Judaic, the Judaic names as well. So there's 72 of them. I've been taking a closer look at that and how similar they are. I don't know, maybe it's just my eyes that see more similarity. Like when I look at opposites, I look at yin and yang, that harmony, not necessarily adversarial. But it's been most disadvantageous to me to have that stance in life, because physically, in the physical world, in the physical realm, I could lose an argument. People could take advantage of me, this and that, so which led me down another rabbit hole, of how to live from this space. And the thing is that if what I've come to understand is that if it's happening, then the idea is not to control it. The first thing you do is to go within. Sit for a moment, invoke a name, if not, sit in silence, and then
Dina,
react.
Let me just interrupt you to say, I think that's very important advice.
No.
I think that's an extremely important part of knowing oneself and the spiritual process, and I just wanted to emphasize that.
Yeah, thank you. That came from years of getting knocked around.
Well, at least we can stop knocking ourselves around.
Yeah, knocking ourselves around, precisely. Yeah.
Well,
I think that's so useful. Silence is.
Thank you.
Yeah, the silence is essential on the path. We have to learn to do it, because we don't know how to do it. We don't know how to silence our minds, and we go into adversarial mode when it comes to trying to quiet the thoughts. You don't resist the thoughts. You just
that's the thing.
Take your attention off it.
If you make an enemy out of the disturbance, then you have the conflict taking up all the space.
Yes.
Let me ask a question. I've been thinking about if deep down in the center of my being, the innermost core of the secret, I am God, and I am in fact a Khalifa or a representative of God on earth, then that makes me a pretty big something. I'm something here. But on the other hand, a lot of saints say, in fact, you are nothing.
Mm-hmm.
God is everything, but you are nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is it?
Well, both are true.
Well,
Yeah.
both are true. I would say both are true, because
Whatever
you have to be no thing in order to be something.
real or whatever, or whatever.
I just scratched my itch.
It felt good, didn't it?
It felt really good. But yeah, it is, and it depends on, I had this wonderful conversation with a friend of mine who said, well, what perspective are you looking at this problem? Are you looking at it from a physical, empirical position, or are you taking a spiritual stance? Because you will see, you will perceive differently gazing upon the same phenomena, basically. So
is it something you have to ward off or defeat, or is it something you can learn from?
Yeah, and so much of our difficulties, or at least so much of our problems in the discussion, comes from not acknowledging the difference in those 2 points of view.
I think it was you, Terry, that said, was it you that said, with your ego, it's not about bashing your ego or diminishing it or whatever. It's about taking its hand like a little 5-year-old.
Yes.
Was that you?
I think that may have been I.
Yeah.
There is that ego thing, yes.
There is that ego thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you perceive from that empirical point of view, that's the territory of the ego. Whereas if you go within, there's less of the ego. The ego is still there, it's just not being used. It takes a back seat. And spirit takes over.
Well said, yes. Yes, it's not as if it goes away, but
sometimes it keeps its mouth closed, but
yes, and
yes,
managed, as you say, like that 5-year-old,
Yeah.
It won't disappear, but it'll get out of the way.
There's this wonderful Sufi, I think, I've forgotten his name, but he wrote a book on the names of God, Asma al-Husna, in the Islamic tradition. And he said, we have many different facets of us, inside of us exists all possibilities. We've forgotten how to access it. So by invoking the names and understanding the names and qualities, we understand ourselves a bit more. And he describes it as his Sufi therapy is to call all the parts of you to a table, and inviting every single facet of you, including your shadow, things you hide from the rest of the world, and call them all to the table and allow everyone to have a voice and to speak up. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes, that is.
It's non-resistance. It's refusing to have an enemy.
Yes, it's reducing your enemies, which I think is a good thing.
Oh yeah, who needs enemies? People think they need them.
Of course, there are things that aren't good for you.
Oh, sure. That doesn't mean there's no dangers, but that's different from an enemy.
But that's good. Did we manage to stay on topic, or did we veer too far from that?
Yeah, and Luna, did you want to contribute to this one?
I think that it's fine if you veer off topic. If you go too far in a direction that I don't like, I'll push you back in the right direction. But this time it was fine. I think sacred silence is any silence if you approach it with the right attitude.
True.
And so that space of emptiness, silence, darkness, because there's light pollution as well as sound pollution,
Yeah,
helps us to reach that space of stillness. And when we find that space of stillness at the core of our being, then things get interesting. You know, it's not like you automatically get that insight, but it's really the whole point of meditation, the whole point of Zen and Vipassana, whatnot, to get to that space and core of stillness. Now, the really interesting thing, okay, is if you can actually find the space for sacred silence within a world of bright lights and noise. And you know, there aren't many criteria for someone who I'd say is, let's say, a spiritual master, but one of them I'd say, or someone who's mastered meditational techniques, is to, like, let's say, be in the middle of Times Square and still be absorbed in, you know, the inward invocation.
On New Year's Eve. On New Year's Eve.
On New Year's Eve as the ball is dropping, and still have that stillness and silence in the very depth of their being.
Right. Don't be disturbed, even in the midst of disturbances.
That's great if you can do it. It's hard sometimes, most times.
But that's why we have to practice when it's easy.
Yeah, that's right. And in many ways challenge ourselves to do it when the environment isn't right.
And do we ever actually do it, or do we just get out of the way and let it happen?
Well, that's kind of a different question.
That is a different question, but it's an important one.
It is.
It is what? Yes.
You know, my view is, if you try to achieve something spiritual, if you try to find God or one of the gods or the divine or anything like that, you're doomed to failure. Unless, of course, the divine showers you with grace and you get lucky. But you know, trying to find silence, it's okay. It's a technique. It's a technique, and techniques are valuable. But trying to achieve something spiritually is one of the most foolhardy enterprises imaginable, because we're already there.
There's
And
nothing that comes between you and it than the quest for it. Like the quest for it.
Right. Someone once said, the faster you run towards God, the farther you run away from him.
Same principle.
In principle.
Yeah.
So if I'm a Khalifa and you all are, however you say it in Arabic, plural, Khalifas, but aren't we responsible for something that happens in this world, good or bad? Or are we just the 5-year-old kids observing it and thinking, well, there it goes?
Well, I think the ultimate goal is to participate in the universe, you know, and you know, because I mean, this boils down to manifesting. I mean, you know, I'm going to use that word, manifesting, but it's, what are we contributing? You know, are we, you know, dumping our shadows and projecting our shadows onto the world, or are we projecting love and peace? I mean, that's. I mean, it sounds all waffly and, you know, weak, but it's actually very, very beautiful if you can do that.
And after all, we are here. And being here has its own concomitants. And that's an opportunity that's alive, really.
Yeah, Luna, you were going to say something? Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was just going to say that we have to, I think we have to realize that sometimes effort is actually counterproductive. You know, I think it's something that most of the mystical traditions fail to understand, but that the Taoists really understood, is that sometimes the best way towards the divine is doing nothing.
I would say if you're attempting to do something and you're just not capable, you're incompetent, and you make it worse, better you should have done nothing.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm referring to just simply entering that stillness and the spiritual doing nothing of Wu Wei, non-acting action, where the best action is sometimes no action, or very often is no action. And I also was wanting to respond to your point about the Khalifa and the 5-year-old child by saying, would you really rather, from a spiritual perspective, be God's vice regent on earth, or would you want to be a 5-year-old child with that amazing 5-year-old sense of wonder? And for me personally, if I could every moment of my life have that sense of wonder of the 5-year-old child, then I feel like I've already accomplished everything I need to do spiritually.
Yeah, to maintain that sense of wonder, you
Five
kind
maybe
of
a
have
little
to.
old.
The 5 might be a bit old in this day and age.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was that age or thereabout that I never had to worry about paying bills. That came later, but that was kind of nice, just your parents took care of everything, and
Yeah.
you just enjoyed it. And I remember my mother saying, "Oh, we're poor," and I'd say, "What? I don't know what she's talking about. I've got everything I need. What are you saying?" That's nice.
But it's a question that Tina just raised, I think, about our responsibility to the world if we have one, since we are here.
Yeah.
And we are adults. We're not 5-year-olds anymore.
And on the one hand, yes, everything's God and it's all one, and it's all infinitely beyond whatever it is that's happening here. But on the other hand, we are here, and we have to pay our taxes.
Yeah.
What do you think, George?
George is reading.
Problems with being here? Okay.
The taxes
We're trying to encounter or engage you in the conversation, but not today.
The taxes thing makes it sound like there is a disadvantage to being here.
Well, there are some disadvantages to being here, but here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are, yep.
Being here is the main gift.
Yes, that's right. Being is the main gift.
Yeah, exactly.